Right now, law schools across Canada are looking at how to address the systemic challenges faced by the Black community. In 2018, Ontario's Human Rights Commission warned Black Canadians are 20 times more likely to be killed by police than someone who is white. They're also overrepresented in our prison systems. Joining us this morning with more, Tiana Knight and Carrie-Anne Cornwall. They are with the Black Law Students Association of Canada. Good to have you both with us today.
Good morning, Anne-Marie. How are you?
Thank you for having us.
I'm glad to have you both here. Tiana, I'm going to direct this first question to you. Black Canadians represent 3.5% of our overall population, but when you look at the federal prison population, they make up 7.3%. So how can the justice system better address the problems facing Black Canadians?
I think one of the really integral things that the justice system can do is appoint more Black judges to the bench. It's so important for people who walk into a courtroom to see themselves represented at the highest level of the justice system, at the decision-making level. And like you said, we see so many Black incarcerated individuals being sentenced at higher levels. And so I think that Black judges being so well-versed in the law and having that great legal experience, but also, knowing the Black experience can make those decisions in the courtroom.
Yeah, and at the judgment level, important because that's when it comes down to sentencing. And we've also seen outcomes higher for Black Canadians when it comes to sentencing as opposed to non-Black Canadians. Brianna, when it comes to lack of Black representation in law schools, administrators often point to things including a lack of Black people applying or that applicants don't self-identify their race or ethnicity. How do you respond to that?
I think another important consideration is that the responsibility cannot always be placed on Black students. I think it's really important for law schools to, look at how many Black students are actually applying compared to those that are getting admitted. So it's interesting that this is the argument, but there's actually no race-based data being collected by law schools to indicate that there's a lack of Black students applying.
We're seeing some schools start to introduce programs to increase the number of Black law students, such as the Black Future Lawyers program at the U of T. What would you like to see from law schools right across the country?
I think one really important consideration for law schools across the country is, acknowledging that there is a diversity issue in the admission processes. I think that the lack of diversity really needs to be acknowledged by law schools and that there needs to be active recruitment of prospective Black law students.
Carrie-Anne, your perspective on this?
I think that law schools have to be very intentional. There needs to be a holistic program that's taken into consideration. Applications have to consider grades. They have to consider extracurricular experiences and go beyond what is typically considered for applications, because often Black applicants are quite well-rounded, and that needs to be taken into consideration. And just generally, law schools have to be intentional as to how they are going about recruitment. So reaching out to universities, reaching out to students that may be interested in practicing law, and taking those steps and being active in taking those steps.
Carrie-Anne, I didn't get a chance to hear from you about the application process, and you just brought up that great point about when law firms are looking to add more representation to their firm. One of the comments back is often, well, we don't know where to look. What would your response be to that?
There are students that are interested in law, in programs that are outside of the Toronto area. I know I went to the University of Guelph. It has a massive law and politics department, and there are a lot of students that aren't often captured in any kind of recruitment processes because it's kind of outside of the Toronto area. I think that there needs to be some reaching out, regional recruitment that needs to be taken outside of the Toronto area, and taking into consideration the various different volunteer experiences that people have. There are people that are volunteering and working very actively in their community, and there needs to be work on the end of law students, and then even more so on law firms to have access to those students.
Tiana Knight and Carrie-Anne Cornwall, I want to thank you both for joining us today. Important conversation.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.